Chop Dalet Alter Rebbe of the outside. And it's appropriate that we're talking about Das. Alter Rebbe's approach was Chachma Bina Das. So we'll take a moment and reflect what really kind of change the Alter Rebbe really brought about. Start off the story. The story is told with the Alter Rebbe when he came out of prison. So he went around speaking to Daily Yisrael. The story is told he was brought through Big Oinim in Lisa, in the not Lubavitch world. And one of the Goinim asked him, I think it was Rabbi Yeshua Tzeitlin. One of the Goinim asked him, he says, what was Chiddush in Teilas Chassidus? The Alter Rebbe said, the Yungalite are Kreveya Itim or Torah. They set aside time to learn. So the Goin looks at him and says, hey, come on, you do the same things. The Alter Rebbe said a word that needs to be understood. He says, they're Keveya B'Zman, but I'm teaching to be Keveya B'Nefesh. What does that mean? These are words. Heart, connecting. Connecting is the key word. Connecting. They're Keveya B'Zman. They set aside time to learn. And my Chassidim set themselves aside to learn. What does that really mean? Is that a play of words? What does that really mean? What does it mean to set aside time? And what does it mean to set yourself aside to learn? That's connection. That's Das. So really, let's go to the Shoidish of Chachma, Bina, and Das. The discussion that's talked about in many areas, and it's very appropriate. What does it mean, Das? Is Chachma, Bina, and Das, are they three words that are synonymous, simply saying, I know, and I know better? What am I saying? I know, and I know, no. What am I saying? There's a Chacham, there's a Maven, there's a Yedeya. These are words that we really interplay a lot. Oh, what is it? Let's try to see. There's a Bar Das, and there's a Maven. There are many terminologies we use. Today we're going to focus on the difference between Das, setting yourself aside, and Chachma and Bina. Das is a different ballgame. What is it? Let's start with a few questions. There's a well-stated example of a doctor who smokes, right? Example that's brought down many times of a lack of Das. Let's analyze that for a second. A person who treats patients, cancer patients, doesn't lack any knowledge on the consequences of the act of, let's say, smoking in this case. Chachma and Bina is knowledge. The doctor is very knowledgeable. Why, Take, doesn't he take that knowledge and apply that to himself? What's missing? What is really, so let's go and try to describe the real missing ingredients that allows someone to go from Chachma and Bina to Das, and some people don't go. Why? What was missing in the doctor? He has the knowledge, he teaches it, he knows it, he's very fluent in it. What is really behind that mistake? He said, really just ego? So is ego is a general, okay. Ego is a general, what? Is it really just ego? There's obviously, and what about other areas in life that there could be, let me phrase it this way. There seems to be a contradiction. On one hand, we say that seichel is objective. And it's very possible for me to understand something and not be emotionally tied to it. That's how we describe seichel. Just listen. Don't be emotional. Just listen to what I have to say. On the other hand, we say, no, seichel is moiled midas. If you really understood, you would do ABC. Didn't you just tell me a minute ago that seichel is this objective idea that I don't have to be attached to? How do you balance the two opposites? On one hand, you're telling me if you really understand something and if you really know it and if you're really convinced, then you would do it. And on the other hand, you tell me, no, it's possible for me to just objectively understand it and not be emotionally tied to it. What is really behind that?
But sometimes you have to detach yourself. With your job,
pay attention. He says you have to detach yourself. We're going to talk about that. There are decisions we make before we come to a body of knowledge that affect how we understand the body of knowledge. Das is not knowledge. Das is an attitude how we take knowledge. And that's what we're going to talk about. Das has nothing to do with knowledge. Das is an attitude of how he knows knowledge. And you could understand something. Attitude. Let me describe it. How we decide we want to internalize. It's decisions we make. Let me give you an example. A few examples. If you go, take someone. Difference between a professor of economics and an investor. What is the difference between the two? A professor of economics comes up with beautiful ideas of where you can invest money, of where you can make money. How come they're not? You know, they come and they sit in front of. Oh, so why? What happened? What happened? If they come up with the best ideas, how come they're not the people that are making the money? You know what happens? They sit down on the table with a bunch of investors, and the investors start peppering them with questions. Your idea? What about this question? What about this? What about that? Suddenly, yeah, you know what? You have a point. Now, what happened? You asked them, would you invest your money in the place of the idea that you came up with? Not necessarily. When I approach something because I want to understand an idea, it'll stay an idea. When I approach it because my money will be into it, I'm going to think differently and come to different conclusions. There's going to be different questions that I'm going to ask. If my end game is that I simply want to print it in a prestigious journal, then that's what's going to happen. But if my end game is I want to get something out of it, I'm going to ask different questions. They say in a project, the last 10% takes 90% of the time. Right? Every project. That's how it works. Why? To make something, I'm going to ask a lot of questions. So I could see another example from our Yem before we start the discussion. Yem brings out that a shipcha, a maidservant. So Yem has a question. How is it that the Gemara has Abaye and Rava arguing back and forth about these deep ideas? About what a shipcha is going to say in court. I mean, she came across the border from Mexico. She doesn't really have an education. She's not going to come up with these ideas that Abaye and Rava are sitting, and she's lawyers sitting in yeshiva. She's not going to come up with those ideas. No, it's not going to be together. No. If it's her money that she lost, she'll come up with the best ideas. When it's your thing, your approach to the idea will define your end game of the idea. It's not the knowledge. It's the approach you have before you start. That is the word das. The word das is application. Applying yourself to it or thinking about an idea. So the answer is yes. There are times when I could understand something. If I want to detach myself, I can, because that is my approach to the idea. So then my end game will be that I don't have any feelings attached because I decided I don't have any feelings attached. It's a decision I make. That is a decision. Am I applying myself to it or not? And we're going to talk about what this decision really means. What does it mean about it? What does it mean? His status, his chabris. What does it mean that I'm connecting myself? And there are very strong terms that are used for that. Other very strong terms that are used for that. What does that really mean? Just to bring this out in another way, there's an example that I brought out last time. It's guide to reiterate. I'm not sure if I said it, but it's a guide to reiterate. It says in Pirkei Avos, Oy l'rasha v'oy l'shchena. I believe I mentioned it. Toiv l'tzadik v'toiv l'shchena. So many people ask, how is it possible? It seems to be a contradiction. What happens if you have a tzaddik and a rasha that are shchena next to each other? Who's going to be influencing who? If you tell me that influence is something that's automatic, and if someone is a tzaddik, his shchenim will be influenced. If someone's a rasha, his shchenim will be influenced. Oy l'rasha v'oy l'shchena. What happens if I'm shocking both of a tzaddik and a rasha? I'm sitting on my right is a rasha, my left is a tzaddik. I'm going to become a Beinani. What am I going to become? What am I going to be? The answer is, being a neighbor is not an automatic thing. It's a decision. I can live next to someone for 25 years and not even know they live next to me. Because I crossed them out from my mind. And I cannot know anything about their lifestyle, and therefore I won't be affected, essentially. The people in my mind that I said they're my kind of person, even if I never spoke to them, I'm automatically looking at them and adapting their lifestyle. The people in my mind that I blocked out of my mind, I'm never ever going to ever have any kind of influence from them because I blocked them out of my mind. And neighbor's a decision. If you're going to be the neighbor of a tzaddik, you'll be influenced by the tzaddik. Who do you want to be a neighbor of? Mishnah is basically telling us, be a neighbor consciously of it. There's a nice story that I once heard. These stories that illustrate it. There was a fellow I once brought his first, and there was someone there who was a principal in a school in Maryland. He was a white, and it was a black school. And he was interviewed by NPR, which is a lefty station. And so they're interviewing him, says, 10 years you're a principal in such a school. How did you end up being a principal of such a school? Black children, you're a white principal. What's it? So he explained to them that he feels very much of education, and that's his mission, and he dedicated himself for this school. And during his conversation with this journalist, he says to him, you know, if I wouldn't apply myself, these kids can burn down your city. I'm here because I want to make a difference with them. The headline in the paper the next day was, white man says black kids are going to burn down the city. How you want to hear the word is what you're going to hear. How you approach something is, if you're going to be a reporter with an agenda, you'll find what you want. If you're going to be a reporter on Yiddishkeit, you'll end up being a reporter. But if you're going to be a player, you'll be a player. Das is an attitude. Who am I going to be? Das is an attitude. Am I going to be there was one someone that came into Siddish by the Rebbe. And the Rebbe asked him to go to a shir. So he said that. I think it was Benji's father. He said to the Rebbe, I have a game tonight. I'm not going to make it. So the Rebbe said to him, it's about time you be a player instead of a fan. Instead of a fan, watching, it's about time you be a player. That is a decision a person makes. It's not about the information. It's not about how much more information. It's about how I choose to digest that information. When you come to a body of information because you feel you belong to it, it'll belong to you. And it won't be a time frame, but it's going to be a lifestyle. And when you apply yourself to a body of information in a way of a reporter, it'll stay a reporter.
You said it's not about information, it's about how I
choose to approach that information. Let me bring this out in another way. Some people say, what do you mean? If it's emes, it should come through. If it's a real thing, then emes is true. It should come all over. And the answer is no. Very, very important. The story is Rabbi Akiva. Did I mention the story of Rabbi Akiva here last week? No. Very important. We all know the story of Rabbi Akiva. He was at the age of 40, and he decided to go and learn Torah. We all, you reflect on the story. It's an amazing story. Someone at the age of 40 should decide to start from scratch. And there's a mashal brought down with the story, and it's good to pay attention to the story, to the mashal within the story. What's the mashal brought down? Rabbi Akiva saw a rock, and there was a drip of water, drip drop, and eventually it penetrated the rock. That inspired Rabbi Akiva. And Rabbi Akiva then said, you know what? I'm going to go and learn Torah. Why? If a rock can be penetrated by water, that means to say, although my head is right now, at the age of 40, I feel like it's a rock. It's not going. But truth can penetrate me, I'm going to go for it. That's how most people take the story. Let me ask you a question. What's going to happen if a donkey is going to sit under a drip of water, and the drip of water is going to drip and drip and drip on the donkey's head for a year straight? Is it going to make a hole in the donkey's head?
No.
Why not? Because I can ask people, hey, if a donkey, something that's like the lowest of the low, water can penetrate. Why can't it penetrate a donkey? And the answer is, there's a logic here, like this. When you know there's nothing else to seek, and you want to seek life, then you can be the lowest of the low, because you're hungry. Then something will penetrate. A donkey is very happy being a donkey. You're going to tell me what to do? You have another description of life? Get out of here. I don't want to hear you. If you don't want to hear, nothing's going to penetrate. The donkey, every shakal, it goes like this. You know, when water hits the head, it right away throws it off. The idea behind it is, yes, you can stand in front of Matan Torah and you can block it. You can stand. Our decision, how we take it, is the definition of how it comes through. This example of Rabbi Akiva is really how we decide to take something. In other words, it's very powerful. Essentially, that means to say, when information doesn't come through, it's my decision that didn't make it come through. And let's discuss this. What does it mean, my decision? What does it mean, my decision? My decision? How do I make a decision? Yeah, the answer is my decision. What does that mean? Consider this. Bring this out more. Chochmah, there's a word called they say Talmud Chacham. Now let's start with that. You say Talmud Chacham. Let me ask you a question. There seems to be a contradiction here. Talmud means that I'm listening. I don't have what to say, and I'm listening to you to tell me what it is. Students. Chacham means I'm a Chacham. I understand. Why are you calling me Talmud Chacham when I'm the one who understands and is giving it over? Imagine you go to a university professor and you call me the students. Not a student, it's a professor. Why do we use in Lashon HaKodesh, we say, let's say Chacham. You say Talmud. Why do you say Talmud Chacham? No. Talmud Chacham is the name of Chacham. The name of a Chacham is Talmud Chacham. Why? Even more than that. What does that mean? Even in Chassidus, we say Chacham is Keyach Ma. It's bittul. What Chacham is bittul? Chacham is the ultimate moment of self, of feeling yourself. Not bittul. What does that mean? How does that play out the Gashmis? What does that really mean? The answer is, if you look at a teacher, the same question can be asked. Teachers many times turn to two students and they say, stop being a wise guy. Quiet. And then the same teacher turns around to another student, why are you so quiet? Why aren't you asking questions? Mother said, what do you want? You want me to ask questions or you want me to be quiet? What are you playing? Can you come over here? This guy you tell him wise guy. This time you tell him ask a question. This time you tell him quiet, ask a question. What are you doing? And the answer is, Chacham is an attitude. Yeah, it's an attitude.
If you're looking to understand, then you'll ask the question because you're seeking to understand, and you're quiet because you're seeking to understand. And when you ask, it's nikir, it's evident in your words that what you're asking is not a challenge, but it's an ask. It's a hunger and thirst for knowledge. And in your quietness, it's evident that you're not quiet because you're passive, simple shmata sitting in the corner, but because you're looking to suck in that piece of information because you want it to be your own. That attitude will be evident in what you do. Chachma is not what you do, but it's how you approach the Dvar Chachma. That is what Chachma is. That is what knowledge is. Knowledge is not about da'at, is key in the student and how the student approaches the Chachma. Yeah, we're all students of knowledge. What do you mean students of knowledge? That means to say we're seekers. Rabbi Kiva was a seeker. A seeker is someone who can get something. A person who is an Iber Chacham, in Yiddish we say Iber Chacham, in English that's a wise guy. So wise guy and Iber Chacham is a terminology we use for the opposite of Chachma, because that is the ultimate moment where you can't internalize anything because you said you know. You said you know, you can't know. You can't get to know anything else. The moment I can question my previous, that's the moment I can suddenly acquire new Chachma. So what's really behind the moment of acquiring something, connecting with something? The moment of connection is a moment where I allow the connection. You simply have to allow that connection. What do you mean allowing that connection? What? And if I don't allow the connection, it won't happen?
Imagine a child in front of a pool. The child is afraid. He's not going to jump in the pool. He has in his head different fears about a pool. He has in his head fears. He's afraid of water. He's afraid of this. What are you going to do? How are you going to explain to the child that he can go into the pool? You're going to sit there and have a vikuach with him, like a whole debate about if water is dangerous and if it's... What are you going to do? Fears, imaginations, illusions. You can't have any discussion. You jump in the pool. There are certain things that you can't explain. You can't logically deal with them. You have to let go of them. That is the moment you let go of something. That's the moment where that can happen. Automatically, any learning experience is letting go, because when you learn, that means to say you want something new, but you already have something in your head. When a person is sitting in front of a teacher and they're learning something, what is going through their head? But I understand this way. How can you say that? So if you're going to continue with I understand this way, you'll never understand anything else. So the word I understand this way is not allowing you to get it. Well, it's normal for you to think that I understand this way because that's who you are right now. That's how you feel right now. So it's an intense effort it's an attitude for a person to say, let me allow and connect and allow this new thing to come in. It's a moment of letting go. It's a very difficult and courageous moment. Rabbi Kiva was a courageous individual. Every Talmud is a courageous individual. It's a lot of courage for that. The Alter Rebbe was trying to change. The Alter Rebbe wanted to call Chassidus Bal Tshuva. He wanted to call his movement of Chassidus Chabad Balei Tshuva because it's change. It's about change. Tshuva, change. And that's really da'at, not the Chokhmah Bina, but the da'at. The da'at is change. The changing. Changing is a moment of letting go. And that's why that is evidence in Chassidus is called bittul. It's called the Ma'ala Mitam Adas. But essentially you need to say, like, how does this play out in practical terms in life? The Gashmias, and I have a few stories that I like to share that bring this up. The Gashmias, we all have certain words. We all have certain words that we're allergic to. Imagine you talk to someone who's not health conscious, and tell them the word health. And see if they answer their cell phone a few minutes later. They're not listening to you. You're the best teacher, and you have the best information, and you have it all down pat, but there's no person here who wants to hear. Essentially, we have an allergic reaction that we're born with to many different ideas. And then we complain, why don't I get it? A few stories that highlight this. story that I was a young attorney that graduated school. And he graduated from a prestigious law school. He was given a mentor to help him with a coach to help him with his interview that he's going to have with the firm that he's going in for. And the mentor sat with him and explained to him, going in for an interview, you pass with good grades. It's important for you not to stand out. And when you go into this interview, this is your opportunity. As this is your opportunity, it's good for you to take up the yarmulke. Why stand out? Why ruin your opportunity? That's okay, fine. It's going to go in. Take up the yarmulke. Comes into the interview. And the lawyers interview him. He did very well. And at the end, they asked him, where's the yarmulke? So he told them what his mentor, what his coach suggested. They told him, we know everything about you. You know, your grades. We did our research. We don't just take anybody in. We actually knew that you're the only yarmulke in the school. We were seeking someone who's a courageous individual, who's someone who can stand out and say his mind and not be intimidated and simply be a dead fish that goes with the flow. And that's why we took you out of your fence. We wanted that attitude. But it seems like you don't have it. The same yarmulke depends how you look at it. You can look at it and go to work and take it off because you're afraid what someone's going to say, which many people do. Or you can look at it in another way. It's the attitude. So it's not content, it's an attitude. It's certain decisions that I make within myself, and I have a very hard time letting go of them. It's not reality. It's not logical. It's a decision. The moment we realize it's a decision, it's so much easier to take care of it. It's an allergic reaction that I created. It's a fictitious allergic reaction. It's not reality. So many others. Another story, a nice story that I'll share my stories and then bring out a point a lot better than anything else. There's a story with Moshe Feinstein. There's a fellow that came over to him, similar story. And this fellow comes to the Moshe and he tells him he needs a heter to take off. It was during Spira. No, in the 9 days. The 9 days, when you have to, even the adults, they grow a beard. And the 9 days is more common than the 3 weeks. He was a painter. And he had an interview with a fellow who's a developer. So it wasn't just one job, it was like a career, in a sense. Under the huge company, he would do well. And so he came to me and he said, look, I have an interview. This is my panasta. This is a moment. And I'm going to come with a speeder board, it's not going to do good, my interview. So I said, look, I'll give you a head to take a shower to put on nice clothes for the interview. But the beard, I can't give you a head. Can't give you a head to speeder. In 9 days. Okay? I had a very hard time. Self-called he decided he's going to take it off. Yeah, can't see himself going into the interview. Goes into the interview. And interview, well, asked him again. The guy asked him, what religion are you from? He says, I'm Jewish. He says, are you Orthodox? He says, yeah, I'm Orthodox. He says, I know a lot of the Orthodox people have a little bad luck. So he says, yeah, but I took it off. So he says to him like this. Listen to this. He says, when I develop a home, so when you come into the home, you just see a painting. You don't see the millions of dollars that I invested in the plumbing and the inside of the home. So essentially, a painter is my look to the world, to the customer. That's who the painter is. He is now
putting me the finished picture in front of the customer. If you're going to cut corners, the customer thinks the whole thing is cut corners. How do I know that my people won't cut corners? If you can cut corners with your God, how do I know you won't cut corners with my painting? How can I trust you with taking my thing and showing it to the world? How can I take it? So the attitude we have to things, and we're sure that this is how it is, and that it's not for this. And who said? He was sure that he is now a step closer to success. How do you know? Maybe you have to step back and reevaluate who you are and how you look at yourself. I'm sure, really? I can look at it totally the other way. So you see, you can look at things two different ways. It depends how you want to look at it. The moment I realize that it's not that it's a reality, but it's how I look at it, that's the moment I can change. Because that's the moment I'm doubting myself. A choyle can't become a person, can't cure himself if they don't know that they have something wrong. That is the moment a person is able to let go of something else. That's a moment of das. Then there can't be a change. Das is essentially telling you, it's the same world. How you look at it. Das doesn't change content. Das is a decision we make to let go of certain things that we have. It's constant decisions that we make to let go. Sometimes we don't even realize, why don't I get that? Because I never wanted to get it. Now that I want to get it, it makes sense. If a person wasn't healthy, suddenly gets a phone call from his doctor, that his doctor tells him he can be the first at his Lavayo within 3 weeks if he doesn't shape up. Suddenly, he looks at his friends who are healthy. Doctor, what did you say the other day? I was on my cell phone, but now I want to hear what you have to say. And he gets it and understands it, and you check. It's all up to you. I turn to him and say, if it's real, why don't you make it? No, it's up to me. The moment I realize it's up to me, that's what das is. Das is a moment, a decision that I make how I'm going to approach something. It's not about information. The doctor who smokes is because he made a decision, this is his habit. This is his lifestyle. Whatever you're going to tell him is going to tell you, oh, that's part of the 1%. The way it looks like this. There's genes. There's a million different reasons how a person can be affected by. It could be a person who smokes and he can live till 90 because there's genes. There's this, there's that, there's many different. So he's going to look at all the 1%. I'm part of the 1%. He doesn't allow himself to be part of it. It's not logical to say you're part of 1%, right? Aristotle was once caught doing a mice in the sewer. Doing something disgusting. So they asked him how you talking. So he says, is Aristotle the professor, and this is Aristotle the human. Well, what happened here? Very simple. We do it all the time to ourselves. That's good for everyone, not just for me. I'm the 1%. To get the 1% out takes 99% of the time. The last 1% to say, oh, Takif, that's a moment of that. That is a moment where I say, maybe Takif. That takes a long time. How does that happen? Let's review what we talked about, show you inside. Now let's see how we can continue. Yeah.
Is it correct then to say that that's when you have an emotional connection to what...
The consequence is emotional connection. But the moment of das is a decision. It's a decision I make. I can go into, in a sales, they say, if you walk into a store and you don't know if you're going to buy, you will buy. Right? Shopping. If you walk into a store, I'm not sure I'm going to buy. Who are you going to buy? Sales people are here exactly for you. But let me word it differently. If you walk into a store and that means you're interested. You wouldn't walk in if you're not interested. So if you walk in and you're interested, you're now prone to buy if there's a good salesperson there. But if you walk in with the decision, I'm not buying today, I'm simply going to look, then there's a chance you won't buy. Well, even if the salesperson, thank you, go to the next aisle, I'm just looking today. And you walk in to sell your house. If you don't have a bottom line price, any negotiation, if you don't have a bottom line price, then you don't have a price. Then you will be selling below price. That's how it works. There are decisions we make what we're willing and what we're not willing. Where we're going to go, where we're not going to go. Certain moments in life you say, let me reevaluate. Sometimes we're not even aware. So what's the let's talk about that in a second. Let's see in the beginning. So we started off with a discussion of Das in the sense of the Talmud Chacham. That's where the discussion started. Discussion of the Talmud Chacham. So what's a Talmud? Talmud or Chacham? Teachers can say two opposite things. How does it really work? Chacham is vital or is it knowledge? And the answer is, Chacham is not what. Chacham is how. Not Chacham as in Chacham as being a das. Chacham as in the how we take in something to become a part of you is a moment of that I say, okay, I'm allowing it to come in. I'm allowing it to come in. That is a moment of Chacham. Das. That's a moment of das. Over here I'm just using it as a general term. When we say Chassidus Chacham, because really, I think, you ever see someone lost in thought? Say the word lost. Why say lost in thought? Say, I'm full of thoughts. I say lost of thought. Because Chacham and das are very similar. Chacham is creativity. Creativity is also lost. It's the moment I'm lost. I'm allowing the thought to come in. Now the thought came in your head. Now you have to make it yourself. Chacham is the first stage where you allow the thought to come in. That's what an artist is. That's what creativity is. That's what coming up with new thoughts are. That's what the word creating means. There's nothing and something. You have to have nothing before something. Always the moment before creating, there's rotting. There's always sweating. There's always, I can't, and then a writer's block. You have different ways how it comes through. There's always a moment of nothing before something. So Chachma has similarities to Das in the sense of it's coming now. Now there's something. I allowed it. Now there's an idea in my head. Now I have to make the idea mine. I have to go through the same process. And I have to allow that idea to seep through. Essentially, there are many levels within making something yours. There's an idea of coming through, and there's an idea becoming mine. Anytime the word is mine, there's a sweat involved. There's something involved because it wasn't there before. So it's got to come in. So it's got to come in. It's got to let go of something so you can come in. That's how it works.
That's the whole idea of growth. So like when you're going through a down, you should
That's
realize
right.
that really it's the perspective you have, the attitude, like, well, this is what it appears like. Let me see if I can look behind the feeling.
Essentially, the pain of growth is that. Pain of growth, Chassidus says, is actually with challenges. I'm not going to go into it now. But Chassidus brings out that the pain of growth is like the pain of shedding your old self to your new self, like labor, like birth, and like creativity, where there's a moment of frustration before a moment of genuine satisfaction of a new thought. Any area of new means that the old has to go away, and that's tough. It's very, very tough. Anytime you say the word new, if it's really new, then it's difficult. Otherwise, it was you. So what's new? If it was always there, then it's not new. If it's new, that means you didn't want it, and you never wanted it, and now it's coming, so it's hard. That's what we're discussing. Das is very, very hard. The person who was against health didn't want it. He was frustrated at it. He didn't want it. The moment he allowed himself to be open to it, now the information flooded in. Now we're going to talk about the 3 stages to a das. We'll get to that in a second. There's 3 stages to a das. The first moment of das is maybe. The first moment of das is puncturing the old self, allowing something new to come in. Otherwise it won't come in. If you don't allow it to come in, it won't come in. It doesn't just come. The whole notion of it's just going to come is not true. If I allow it to come, it will come. If I become the person's neighbor, then I'll be his neighbor. Then I'm going to get this stuff from him. But if I don't allow it to come, it won't come. So das is a decision we make. Let me go to the 3 stages right away once I mention it. What are the 3 stages? The way it works is like this. The first stage, when I change something, when I allow myself to change, the first stage is very difficult. I jumped. I essentially jumped. So we say the word jump, not walk. Walk means to say my foot is still on the ground, and now it's, I don't know where I'm going. Hey, what? Letting go, it's very hard. Then when I come into somewhere new, I'm still resentful because I still remember my old taste. I don't have the new taste. When you change from Masha Baruch to Meda Datol, it says 30 days. I don't know, maybe this is why they have 30-day trials. I don't know. Maybe that's where it comes from. But it's 30 days that it takes from Masha Baruch to Meda Datol. To change your habit takes 30 days. So why do they say 30 days Masha Baruch Meda Datol? Because after 30 days, and there's halachas that apply within the 30 days. And after the 30 days, what's the idea? The idea is to develop a new taste takes 30 days. To develop a habit change takes 30 days. If you're going to do it consistently for 30 days, then there'll be a change. What happens afterwards? Chazaka is you're going to go according to the new taste. It's going to take time. You know, you have that new... every day of those 30 days is a struggle. I don't know. Okay, I don't know. Next day, it's a 30-day time when you don't know. But at least you jumped in. You're now with the mindset, no, I have to do Meidato. I'm letting go of Mashivarua. You do that for 30 days, then there's a chance for a change. You can't just, some people say, I jumped, and then I'm like a rubber band, and it goes right back, and it's not going, it's snapping. Did you do 30 days? Consciously telling you, throughout the 30 days, if you're going to tell yourself, no, maybe you shouldn't change so much, then you're going to end up with a 30-day trial. If you're going to say every day, maybe I shouldn't have jumped, then you never jumped. If every day of the 30 days you're going to doubt you jumped, then you never jumped. So what happens is you develop a new taste. The same thing with health. You see also the taste bud takes a long time to the tongue. The gashim is to get a new taste. After a while, you say, oh, now I like grapes. So now I can choose between two tastes. I have another taste. The gashim, you say the same thing. Person takes a while till they develop different tastes. They can develop, but it takes time. The time is only after I allow. After I allow, then there's a time frame. And the same thing goes with me. I can look at my yarmulke. It takes me time different how I'm going to look. If I decide, okay, let me reevaluate how I look at this specific thing that until now I thought is crazy. It doesn't make sense. Certain things frustrate us. Certain things I have allergic reactions to. If I allow myself to look at it in 30 days will make a difference. Then applying myself to it, it doesn't mean I'll be a savage. It means that I'll have two tastes. It means that I'll see it. It's going to frustrate me as much in the sense of, this is my blockage to success. Who said? Maybe not. Maybe not. That takes 30 days. That's the idea of 30 days. Even in every area of life, you have that. And then sometimes you hit a third stage where a person simply could say, I'm disgusted by it. I can't even look at it anymore. It's so much healthy, I can't even. Some people have that to develop something. You have people that everybody. I can't play with toy trucks. You know, it's not. I don't play with toy trucks. Fine, we don't play with toy trucks. You know, I'm not. I play with other things. So there are certain things in life that you do. It's just not my thing anymore. I just don't do that anymore. Not because I don't have the ability. It's just not my thing anymore. So there is a third step where a person can simply eradicate something. In Russian, the topic is moyesfera, right? So that's not felt. Moyesfera, he's disgusted by that. That's a very high, in health, a person who can say he simply is disgusted by sugar. An ex-smoker can be disgusted. Okay, whatever. But it's trying to forget you have to these three stages. So, but the way it starts with is the first stage is you jump. The second stage is you allow that change. And the third stage is that sometimes you can actually look back and say this is a whole different thing. In the midbar, the reason why they were in the midbar for 40 days, for 40 years, sometimes you can have that third stage where you simply look back and say, I changed. This is mamish, like this is totally not my thing anymore. It says in the midbar, the last part, even with it for 40 years, I did for 40 years, brought down there was a therapy. They came from Matan Torah. They needed 40 years to get a taste before they go into Eretz Yisrael. Eretz Yisrael is a place where you got to earn your living. Buddy, you're going to be sweating for your own living. Are you going to see the Eibusher there? They were kvetching for 40 years with pains of growth. Kvetching for 40 years before they go into Eretz Yisrael. Sometimes information sits in your head. It has to boil, you know? The pot has to boil. Take time for information. When you allow somebody to come in, as long as you're in the mode of 30 days, allowing it to come in, it boils, it boils, it boils, it boils, it comes, it comes. It's it. Don't be frustrated. It's fine. It's sitting. You're allowing it to sit. It'll come through. Sometimes things sit in our head for a while, and then, Oh, I got it. Oh, now I understand what you meant when you said that back then. I won't understand if I never heard it and if I never allowed myself to think about it. Then you sit. So there's the information I get right away. There's information that I sense. There's information that it sits and becomes part of you. That's part of how things become part of you when they sit. It doesn't have to always be, right now, where is it? But allow it. See, and the whole thing is if you allow it. If you don't allow it, it's never going to be there. Let me show you a little bit. No, stage 2 is, well, we have these 3 stages over time for everything, right? Mainly, the first stage is the ability to jump. The ability to let go. The second stage is when something simmers. You're allowing it to simmer. Allowing it to simmer. The third stage is once in a while you have an aha moment. Now I see things. Now I see things. Yeah, you have to know. But we don't have to have the aha moment. The sitting itself is already a moment that we're connecting with things on different levels. You always connect to things throughout this. Now I know. Different things sit in different ways. It doesn't have to be that you're disgusted by that. You could be health conscious and once in a while eat something else, but you're still considered health conscious. You're conscious of it. It's not out of your conscience. You're never going to say, I think these people are nuts. That's not how you're going to look at it. So that's a consciousness.
But sometimes that does happen. Like, I remember watching, like, TV so much till I realized it was such a waste of time that now I don't even really want to.
So that is a moment. Fine. So that's a moment where you can have a third stage. I said the third stage happened in life, and then I don't want to play with toy trucks. Give me a toy truck. I'm not going to play it. When I was 5, 6, I loved toy trucks. I had the pictures of me playing with toy trucks. But now I don't want to play with toy trucks. If I would be a little boy again, I'll play with him. Yeah, but it's fine. But it's not me. On my free time, I'm not going to sit down and play with it. Just say, but it's not. Okay. So, yeah. I said I was thinking, when we change habits, the Torah says 30 days. Yeah, halacha. I don't know. I know it's Mashi Baruch. I don't know. I actually, the Torah says something else. The Torah says 3 times a day for 30 days. That's what Mashi Baruch is. It's 3 times a day for 30 days. I once met a Mashi Baruch. When we change a habit of Mashi Baruch Merid Ageshem in Shmoyne Esrei, what does halacha say? After you go through 30 days, 3 times a day, then it's considered probably you already changed. I'll finish with this story. I'm going over time. I once met a principal of a juvenile school, and he was telling me how they had professors coming down, and they teach them about how to change their habits. They should be good kids, and from now on they shouldn't murder and do whatever they do. So I said to him, so tell me, what's the success rate? So he told me, it's not really such a success, was it? Mamish Kornish. So I said, so why are you spending all that money and having these people talk themselves blue for people that are not listening? What are you getting out of this whole thing? This is what we have to do. So isn't that words? So I said to him, why don't you try something else? I said to him, why don't you take the kids out and have them, and I'll explain where I got it from, have them do a Ma'aseh Chesed. Let them go and give a sandwich to a hungry man. For 30 days, 3 times a day, take them out and let them just watch a smile on a person's face. Now, every day when they come back, have them talk about how they felt when they did it. Take them out on a trip. You can't talk about something unless you do it. You can't have stage 2 unless you jump. So now you see something new, and now you can talk about what you experience and try to internalize something new. Otherwise, you're talking to the Cholim. Who are you talking to? He doesn't know what you're talking about. He has a thrill of violence. How are you going to introduce a new thing to him if he has no clue what that is? You can't talk about something you know. If you go there, you can talk about it. And if you immerse yourself for 30 days, maybe he'll develop a new taste. Otherwise, you're wasting your time. We do the same thing with mitzvahs. He didn't listen to me.
No, but it doesn't necessarily have to be exactly what you said, but I'm not sure what you're going to have but somebody's children are very unkind or fighting each other, and I think once a week or sometimes she's taking to the poor neighborhood, and she makes sure to give them food and stuff, and after a while, she started to change in her children because they were constantly involved in food poverty or people were downtrodden or in very dire situations, and they were the ones who became that most sensitive, and they became sensitive and became very individuals. So
We do with the mitzvahs of children.
That's exactly the same. The Ramban says, "Halavovois min shochis achal hamaisa." Usually you say that the heart is a consequence. Usually you say that the action is a consequence of the heart. The Ramban writes that you can have the heart the other way around, as a consequence of an action. When you do something, you can invite a new feeling that'll come as a consequence. What do we say? Mitzvah gereres mitzvah. When a person does a mitzvah, there's a connection to the Yevishter. He's allowing a new influence. I'm disgusted by a certain mitzvah. I can't stand it. Let go for a second. Do it. And then allow yourself to discuss with yourself about what you did, but allow yourself to do that. I have certain things. When the Torah tells me to do certain mitzvahs, the Torah wants my Torah, the Torah wants what's good for me, I can allow myself to connect to it in a way that it should become part of me. If I allow myself to do that, the moment I'm going to keep doing, maybe I shouldn't have jumped, and I never jumped. Maybe I shouldn't do this. Maybe it's not going to right. If the whole day you're going to say maybe it's not right, then you never came into it, and then it's never going to become part of you. So that is the...
Children are observing doing mitzvahs, whatever it is, by
so there is a mitzvah. There's a special power. We say there's a koyach of a mitzvah to change someone, but the real internalization is a decision we make. So let me summarize what we did. Like this, we can finish on time. So we started off with the idea of das. We started off with the question, what is das? We started off. If you look at it in the paper, I didn't do exactly the same as we did. In the paper, it's number 12 is the idea of the Aristotle and the doctor that smokes, which is the question of das that we had in the beginning. Right? How does a doctor smoke? How does Aristotle? How does that come out? What's really das? Is it information? What is it? Do I not know enough information? So I brought out that no, it's a decision we make. Similar to the idea of influence of neighbors, which is number 9 over here. So you have the idea of influence of neighbors, and that's the idea of das, which is a decision I make. We brought out that's the same idea in a student. A student is a decision to be a student. It's not automatically a student. It's a decision to be a student. Once we understand the difference between student, I call student and spoon-fed. I didn't go through everything over here. Student and spoon-fed, which means to say, am I a student or I'm just throw information into me? That's not a student. A student is not a baby putting information into you. So you allow that information to become a part of you. The examples I gave of students' barriers that exist between das and not das, it starts from 5 or even 4. Which is the idea of social, sometimes social. I didn't give this example over here. Sometimes people say social. I'm not going to go here because they're going to look at me because I think they're going to look at me because I'm going to look at you. Made bubblemices into your head, and because of your bubblemices, you think they're going to think that I'm going to think. Forget about it. I didn't say this verse, but this is to help. Sometimes with a person who had 5 eggs in his hand, sitting with the 5 eggs, looking at them, his face becomes red. Takes them, he smashes them on the floor. Get away from me. What did you share? What happened? He says, you don't understand. I look at the 5 eggs. And these 5 eggs are going to hatch chickens. And the chickens are going to have more eggs. And then I'm going to come home. I'm going to have 1,000 chickens and 1,000 eggs. I'm not going to be able to sleep. I'm not going to be able to move around. I took it and smashed them in the floor. I don't have anything to do with you people. You should go ahead and get away from me. People build palaces, right? And the barriers we have are in ourselves. It has nothing to do with all imagination. The barriers between da'at is my own barrier that I create within me. It's not a real barrier. That's the idea. There's 3 steps in the student experience, which is number 6. Sometimes a real student who understands something has 3 steps. First they get something, then they sense something, and then there's something you can't get. And the 3 steps of a student is in the beginning, he gets it, and then he's hungry, so the things he senses, he doesn't let go until he gets it. And then the things he can get, he senses. And that's how a student develops. The development of a student is that way. In health. Certain things, I got nuts, but this is crazy. Okay, fine, no problem. Just have nuts. Exercise, you're sweating. You can't. I'll have fruits. Okay, so you start with the things you get. The things you get give you a taste, and they allow you to advance to the things you sense. And the things you sense, Eidah Chukim Mishpatim is the same idea, but that's the idea of how things evolve. First, when you allow, you can eat. You heard it, and you can eat. And then you can sense more. The hungriness you have within you doesn't allow you to rest until you go weiter. But the Kiva didn't let go until he got someone. There's two people. One person who has a business and they hit a bump and they declare bankruptcy. Another person who thinks weiter and they continue weiter and they're successful weiter because they're able to continue weiter instead they're hungry. They know that they have to get somewhere. So the student is someone who has a change in attitude in the sense of wanting to continue on.
Are you saying that if we really see students, then they would have 100?
What I'm saying is you have to make sure they're hungry. That's what I'm saying. You have to make sure your students are hungry, otherwise you're not teaching them. The job of a teacher is to make sure, sometimes you teach people that are hungry already, but the job of a teacher is to make sure students are hungry. The real job of a teacher is called making them a keli. When you're a keli, then the oil comes in. There's no keli, there's no oil, there's no nothing. It's just knocking at a wall. It's like this story I gave a long time ago of the child who says to his father, Tati, give me your cell phone. What do you need my cell phone for? Tati, I see you listen very carefully when a businessman calls you. I also want to talk to you and have a good conversation with you. So listening is not something passive. Listening is an art, a conscious decision a person makes. A Talmud is a listener. The Kiva was a listener. Das is a listener. The moment of change only comes in the moment of listening, the moment of allowing it to come. And then even truth, I continue with 11, even truth can penetrate a blockage. It's very important. People make a mistake that truth can penetrate. The answer is no. Truth cannot penetrate. A blockage that I make will be a blockage in front of truth too. And with that we finish with is Das doesn't, I didn't go through all the information here, Das doesn't change. Das allows you to discover something that's there already within your world. You just never paid attention to it. Columbus discovered America. Did he discover America? No. Did he create America? No. He discovered it. You discover new things if you're a courageous person and you allow yourself to go on a voyage. Go across the oceans. Go across those areas you don't want to go. Then you'll discover things. It's not real barriers. It's barriers if you don't want to cross them. So the moment really Das, if you want to put it in one word, Das is a decision we make. The moment we decide we want, that's the moment the decision can sit, the decision can fizzle, and something can come part of it, something's not. But that's part of it. I'll finish with the story of the Frierdiker Rebbe. The Frierdiker Rebbe, the two Chassidim, one for the mimer. Two Chassidim. One Chassid was found leaning back, smoking a cigar. Artrach, stinking. Another Chassid was caught with his head over his face, and very red and very intense, almost like a self-reflection kind of mode. Frierdiker Rebbe explained, I think there's a little bit of a shot explained to the Frierdiker Rebbe when he went to see these two Chassidim. I think it was Isaac Homer and Hua Pirates, two same Chassidim. So Isaac Homer and Hua Pirates, I believe it was those two.
Which one was which?
So, I don't remember. And the Frierdiker Rebbe explained that don't think that one of them is self-reflection and one of them is a philosopher. It's simply two ways how Das works. Some people, when they hear something, they right away ask them, they both have self-reflection in mind. It's just two avenues, two personalities, how they reach them. Some people first, they want to get it. They have in mind to get to their needs. But they first reflect on it in their mind, and eventually it penetrates them. They both have the same end goal, and they're both going to get to the same end goal. But it's the attitude of how they're approaching it. So one of them is not burning in mind because he's a philosopher, Aristotle. He's burning in mind because he wants to get it. But the way he gets it is through his mind, and then it pulls down to his heart. The other one, right away, you talk to him. He's like, why am I not like that? Afterwards, he's going to figure out, how do I get there? So right away, they're both going to the same way. It's fine, it's two different personalities. He's showing him, even the maskil, the terms that we use in Chassidus, of a person's self-reflection, an idea of lost in thought and a self of understanding. They're not maskil like Aristotle. They're both simply mediums of how I take in information to change. They both have the same das. They both have the same kavanah in mind. They both have the kaviyas itim benefesh that we started off with, which was Al Rebbe said to the Goinim. But there in Mikra, he says, you know what the Chassidim are all about? Setting aside themselves to learn. Setting aside yourselves to learn is that. I mean to say, I'm not coming to explore. I'm not a reporter. I'm not a fan. I'm not someone who's watching a game. I'm not someone who's on the sidelines. I'm there because I want to make it. I want to get something out of it. So then you can learn the same mimer 10 times. If you could say a person can learn the mimer 10 times, 10 times. Every time I learn it, I get something else out of it. It's talking to another layer of resistance within me that I'm allowing something to become part of me. So I can, it's good. You have a favorite song, you can listen over and over. Come on, you heard it once, and that's it, over. It stirs different feelings within me in different modes of the day, different moods I have. I have to have the song for different moods. That mood is not enough. I have another mood a few days later that I need to hear the same song that touches me. So it's you. When something is you, you can have it many times. When something is an experience, I really want to. I'd have to go on vacation again to the same place. It's not me. I'll go another place. It's vacations. It's different moments that you have experiences. That's a problem. It shouldn't be experiences. It should be your experience. When it's your thing, your child, you can be with them a long time. It's not an experience. That is the moment when we take something and we allow it to become ourselves. And I'll finish with that. And maybe this will help them. We should all have a good Das journey. You can face a question, and you can look at it as something looking to bury you, or you can look at it as a moment. There's a story for that too. Okay, it's another story. Another story. So there was a Malamed in Russia. And the Malamed was teaching the children. And one of the children was misbehaving. They gave him a chelik. He sat down with him and he explained to him what he should not be doing. And the child was crying. He reprimanded him. And the child was crying. The child felt like, he's not good. He's not the way he should be. He feels like he's a failure. Suddenly, one of the scouts who were outside knocks on the window. The KGB is coming. They all ran out. Pachad gadol. They're all afraid. They ran out. Chased him out, essentially, the scouts. Finally, with a false alarm, they come back and sit down. The alarm turns around to the KGB and he goes like this. He says, look, your friend just chased you out. How come you're not upset? He just chased you out of the room. You understood that he's there to help you. You felt very intense. You felt fearful when you ran out of the room. He came in and we all had to leave everything. He was there not to bury you, but to help you. Criticism that I'm giving you, not there to bury you, not there to highlight some ineffective person that you are and tell you that you're a schlamazel. I'm there to help you grow. Questions that a person has when they learn something, there's two kinds of people that learn. One person has a question and they close the book. One person has a question and say, so now I'm a step closer to the answer. Let me continue asking until I get to the answer. Some people give up, some people don't. In business, some people hit a point and they declare bankruptcy. Some people hit a point and they can revise their model and they can be very successful. There was a store in Europe that sold luxury shoes. And China came and copied their product. They were about to go bankrupt. They had a meeting, Chachamim. They came up with a solution. They said, instead of selling the luxury product, we're going to go into the existing luxury stores in Europe and offer our clients to have a customized shoe for their size in the store. They did that and made more money than they had before. So instead of looking at the question that came their way as a answer, they looked at it as an opportunity for revising and continue to grow. There are two ways how anybody looks at anything. Students who don't do that are not a student. You're asking how to become a student.
Or because of their connection with the information, with the Torah.
No, blaming other people.
An attitude of a factory or company or somebody like this, they want to grow. They don't want to die. They don't want to finish their career. They have something else. So the question is, student doesn't have it. They don't care if it's a 60 or 70 or 80. They don't care when they're in college and they need it for life. Then they care.
It depends on the person. When a person is on an island, and they're hungry, and there's no one to feed them, they're going to find food. If you have strings attached, I'm there because of this, then it doesn't work.
I think it's way things are set up, like they're learning for tests, they're learning.
Oh, you're talking about the students today and the system today. I'm talking about.
Truly, technically, we're all students.
I'm talking about life. The student doesn't mean a student in school. We're all students. I'm talking about in life. I'm not talking about the systems today.
We're students from the
Systems, by definition, are not individual. That's an attitude. That's an attitude. The attitude of Talmud. The attitude of Talmud is to seek. Rabbi Akiva was a seeker. He wasn't in a school. He was 40 years old. He was a shepherd. But he was a seeker, and he was seeking, and he found. He became Rabbi Akiva.
Basically, you're saying you never give up hope because it's always because that turn. It's just that turn. That turn. You have to know. It's like a paradigm shift. You have to know when, like, not to give up and just use it to make that turn.
Really.
Each one of us wants to succeed in whatever we do, right? It's normal for people. Take your family, take everybody. So when you have something difficult, you're trying to figure out what to do, right? You're trying A, B, C, whatever it is. It's done.
That's right. And the things we really care for, we find a way for them.
We find a way.
And we're
Maybe
here.
100%, maybe 80%.
That's right.
Maybe one time it's a better success, one
That's right.
time it's a worse success. But we're working on this. We all the time thinking about it, and we all the time trying to find a new way what to do. It should work better.
Caring is a consequence of that. Caring is that. Caring, yeah, that.
2 years ago, there was a story, like I don't know where, that he was very, very successful in people's prayer. And one day he collapsed, he went to the hospital, and he was almost at the stage of the diabetic one. He didn't know he had diabetes.
Right.
And the doctor told him, that's it, no more sugar, no more bread, no more this, no more that. And he's miserable. So the people that he brought closer came to visit him. He said, Rabbi, why are you so upset? He said, you don't understand, I can't have my sugar, I can't have my donuts, I can't have my Coke, I have to do it on cheeseburgers, I have to do it bowling on Sabbath, and you said, do it, and you gave me, and I was able to do it, and for yourself you can't do it? And he said, oh yeah. He didn't connect. Well, the other person he connected.
Very good.
But I can help him to connect.
Very good. Very good. Very good.
That's what I
But I'm saying also, like sometimes there's something that not sometimes it is really not clear what it's control. You have not straight up, this is your source of cannot be. You can try. And some people will truly do try and go back to not because they didn't try hard enough. But I think it's more related to our personal growth or our leaders or our person who's really established a certain degree in other areas of our life. But it's I'm trying to understand.
Really? You're talking about challenges in life.
Huh?
You're talking about frustrations in life. Really? Yeah. So really, brought down that the Eibishter and us is like a student and a teacher. And it's like a student and a teacher. The teacher can say things, and he wants the student to get something. But he also has in mind that the student taking time during Chazorah, they're going to get something else. He gives pieces according to so now the challenge is brought down is like when a student has a question. It's a moment before there's a new realization. Many times people look back and they say, as Friedrich Rebbe said when he came out of jail, that he won't sell it for no money in the world.
But he won't relive it.
But he won't relive it. He won't go back there.
Give it up, but he doesn't want to do it again.
Right.
That's what we have. I mean, this is
That's
what
what
we
I'm
have.
saying.
Ran over
The really, there are,
Is that what you're saying, Victor?
yeah, that's what he said. Connecting with something doesn't come unless you feel it. How do you feel it? There's a moment of frustration before you feel it. Before you understand something, you have a question. When you have a question, it's frustrating. The frustration is peeling away at the old way of thinking and allowing the new way of thinking to come in. That's what a question is. The question is really just the frustration that you have with your previous way of thinking. That's what a question is. Challenges, everybody has unique challenges, and they're meant to help us uniquely connect to the Eibishter in a different way. There's a story. Discussion of challenge. There's a story with love with one's the story with the Rebbe. There's a story with the Rebbe. A person comes in, I believe it was by dollars, and tells the Rebbe that he's engaged to a non-Jew. Right? Famous story. He tells, I mentioned this over here before. He tells the Rebbe that he's engaged to a non-Jew. And the Rebbe says, I'm jealous. Well, why are you jealous? So the Rebbe says, because every challenge in life that's given is unique. Every individual has different things that are given to them. In a story, they say two Yidlach once met, and each one shares their peckle. He says, you know what? I want your peckle, and you can eat your peckle. So much better with your peckle. They trade for a week or two, and then say, no, you can eat your peckle. So the Rebbe turns around to him. Some peklach hareg. So the Rebbe turns around to him. The Rebbe says to him that the word Nispoyin is Meloshin Nes. Meloshin picking up. That's what it says in Hebrew. The words are very particular. Right? So what's the idea? The idea is to pick you up. It's challenging to pick you up. It's tough to pick you up. That's where you grow from a pain. So the Rebbe turned around to him. The Rebbe says every challenge given to an individual is unique. Look around in the world, it's unique. I mean, he didn't say these words, right? Run. Why is it given to this person that challenge and that person that challenge? Why? Because the challenge is not meant to drown you. The challenge is meant to pick you up. That's what it's meant. And it's jealous of your ability that you have in you to deal with I don't have that challenge, but I don't have that ability.
Well, there's sometimes challenges make you feel like
they always make us feel
That's
drowned.
the challenge. And suffocating.
No, but it's a challenge. It's a challenge. It's only a challenge. Finish very hard, and then you say, thank you for the food salad, thank you for the fire, and I had a good cook, and they know you have a lesson for the fire, and then take away the difficulty. You know, but go back to what you're saying for severe. There's a challenge, there's
within the challenge, there's part of the challenge that why. Part of the challenge is why did this happen to me? And sometimes it's 50% of the pain. 50% of the pain is why did this happen to me? Why? And the why is my decision. Instead of saying why, say what can I get out of it? What in my life, easier said than done, but I'm just bringing out a point. There's a story with a Gamus and Aibshir. He's a young boy. And he was asked, where is the Eibishter? It's a cute story. He says, where is he not? What was it? It's a silly story. Where is why? What's the point? There's a purpose. There's a teacher in front of you. Instead of saying, where, fine. The speaker doesn't ask, what are you doing? I'm teaching you. There's information here. Asking a question
You don't say why, you say what can I get out of it. When you ask a question and learn, you don't say, you don't have a point. It could be you're mistaken. It could be you probably gave me the wrong piece of information. I'm probably supposed to go over there. No, I know it's true. I know there's information. But what can I get out of it? Two people face the same situation. One person is, gosh, two people are stuck in a road. One person go out of the car and is crying, why did this happen to me? One guy's going to start looking for other roads to go on to. Right? Why? Yeah, I'm not saying not to cry, but I'm saying the attitude of how you approach it. It's not just a.
So the attitude also something I'm afraid of with God, when you help me to say I'm not going to do like this anymore. This is basically what I'm trying to get from.
Two people live the same lifestyle. So two people. So I'll give you a different example. Two people with the same lifestyle, and let me give a different example. Two people with the same exact lifestyle, same exact everything, but one person is happy, one person is not. Happiness is also a decision. What's so happy? No,
Well, you look at Viktor Frankl in the concentration camp. He was like, you could take away everything from me. You're not going to take away my dignity. It's like
he talked about Koyach HaRatzi. He talked. The Rebbe had there was dialogue between him and the Rebbe. At one point, he was going to give up. You know that, right? He was going to give up on the video.
No, I didn't see it.
There's a video.
Send it to me.
And the Rebbe sent him a lady to tell him to continue on. His point was Koyach HaRatzi. His point, from what I understand in the video, his point was.
He didn't give up. This was after the camp.
No, he was in Austria, right? And over there, his professors over there weren't appreciating his work. He was gonna go to Argentina and start all over there. And he already had immigration papers. And the Rebbe sent a lady to tell him, continue. Eventually, your work is going to be accepted, and encouraged him, and he persevered, and his work was accepted. Wow. And even a shliach called him later on in his life. You know, the Lama Rebbe, he says, at Mikkelhofen and Isaiah Kritische moments. He helped me out in a big critical moment in my career. Him, the person who was teaching about the moment that he went through. Because the moment. Look, that is not
You
a.
mentioned your mother's name.
But it's not like this, and it was his mouth was on the circle in general, the name, she persevered enough to make decisions that happen.
The emes is God, David sent neshamas down to this world. Neshamas knew everything l'mayla. Over here they have God. The moments of challenge we have are the moments we take with us. That's what differentiates us from malachim. That's what makes us partners. There's also another video where the Rebbe writes about chess. A pawn becomes a queen, an officer stays an officer. And the neshamas down here, it goes step by step. They're jumping. The officers are jumping, right? Step by step is hard. It's spread through. Then you become a queen. Change. Down here is where we become something. Over there, there's no challenge that it's really you in the sense of that you acquire something. When you have a speaker, why do you listen to a speaker who went through something versus listening to a drasha from an eloquent speaker who didn't go through the things that person went through? Why do you want to hear him if he went through a study? Why does everybody want to hear that person? Because that's when you own something. Moments that we own something, it's a different person. And when they say it over, it's in a different way. And that thing is yours. And you treasure moments that you own something. Maybe there's a lot of business in Sardis. I mean, not looking for any Sardis, we're simply looking, there are Sardis, and then there are difficulties. Sardis Maybe she's a law picking, it doesn't belong by any means. Difficulty could be because today I woke up with a headache. Difficulties could be because today I don't have A, B, C. And everybody has difficulty is not a soda. It's not a soda. Everybody has difficulty. But difficulty is where how I look at it can help. How I take it, how it changes it. Everybody looks back and says certain things change them. Everybody looks back and says, I'm a different person after that. I talk and feel much differently after that. I can't look the same at certain things after that. And you know what? I learned so much from that. Everybody does that sometimes. All the time. So, Sardis.
Isn't it set that on a much deeper level?
Sardis to myself, the way I look at my own soda, yeah. But someone else's soda, not. Sardis how I myself reflect on it. Yeah, you're right. But someone else's soda, that's how we look at someone else. How I treat my own sodas, how I'm supposed to reflect in my own life to my own things that happen to me that are in the realm of sodas. The Gashmis, you see, that people who are born with disabilities also have super abilities.
So true.
Fascinating thing. Do I want? Do they want? Maybe should create certain things. I don't want that, and I daven for it. But it's for my self-reflection and moment. So then I can take my own self-reflection. And it does work that way, also inside. Because it goes from one point. It starts with purpose. It starts with how I look at the things that happen. Are they there with design, or are they by mistake? If they're by mistake, then I'm lost. It's a mistake. But if there's a design, if there's a teacher who's teaching me, then why did he do that? What do I get? He's teaching me. It's an individualized class, not a system. There's each person is being taught individually by the Eibishter throughout his life. So why did this master teacher put me in this situation? Now it's up to me to be a Talmud. The Rebbe used to say, in some nisyonos, some things that happen, the Rebbe would say, ignore it. Don't even pay attention. Continue on the purpose. You're middle. It's going to go away. Ignore. Something, ignore. Which things ignore? Anything that has a relevance to the mitzvahs. Anything that the nisyonon is taking you away from Torah mitzvahs, ignore. It's not shayach for it to be real. Because that's the purpose. It's not shayach for anything in the world to be a real impediment for me to do. I'm not going to be successful if I do this mitzvah. Not true. I'm not going to be happy if I do that mitzvah. Not true. The other way around. Every single area in life that has to do with the mitzvahs, that's the purpose. It's not shayach for the world, and that's another discussion. It's not shayach for the world to impede. It's me. Usually, it's me creating the block. That's a yarmulke. I once had someone in an office that told me, Rabbi, pick up your beard. You look so much better. Yeah, what are you going around? Yeah. So I told him, I said to him, tell me, how did Moses look? Moses had a big, long beard. I said, I want to be like Moses. Okay, Rabbi, no problem. That's okay. You can do it. I don't understand. His rock player had a beard. He has no problem with that. His rock player, his band player, a big beard and a big mustache, everything, and long hair. His hair was longer than my beard, but he had no problem with that. So really, it's how you look at something, and suddenly it's going to change. Suddenly, so you think you're going to lose respect by something, you lose respect when you don't respect yourself. It depends on you. It's not really something that could be an impediment to them. Yeah,
the story goes, I believe, Rabbi Jacobson told the story about someone, I don't think it was him, who was on a plane, and there was a man who was on the plane with a big beard and black hat, and somebody was sitting beside him, a woman or something, anyhow, And so she started talking to him, and she said, oh, she was admiring the Amish. And she was saying, oh, they're really strong because they're going against the grain, of the, and et cetera. And she kept on praising, and how much she really appreciated the Amish. And so she said, then turns to him and says, you are Amish, right? And he says, no, you're Jewish. Jewish? Oh, no, they're all this. And she turns it all around how dark and how bad it was. And I mean,
same idea. Same exact idea.
It is.
It's more how he once said a nice line. Jonathan Sachs said about Akinas HaShluchim a few years ago. Said a very nice line. It's self-common sense, but it's a beautiful line. That non-Jews respect Jews, respect themselves.
100%.
Non-Jews respect Jews, respect themselves.
Who respect themselves? Yeah.
Who respect themselves. And they don't respect Jews who don't respect themselves. It's the thought. But it's specifically with the phobia that people have. Ma yoimru hagoyim, ma yoimru hagoyim. Really, ma yoimru hagoyim, ma yoimru hayidin. What's ma yoimru hagoyim? Ma yoimru hayidin.
Yes, respect is for the world. Years ago when I was in front, I didn't spend in Chicago with these people in the training course, and for the rest of my, I ordered a t-shirt, had something in it, well, it's not true. You're not allowed to eat that, you are Jewish. I said, well, you people get married even though you say you never married, but you were. I pointed out, I'm Jewish, I'm not allowed to eat it. They catch it.
No, I had a fellow, he goes on business trips, and his business partners invite him to a non-Jewish restaurant. And he feels very uncomfortable telling them that he can't eat there. It's a business. He doesn't want to involve. I told him, what happens, anybody there vegan? Yeah, someone's vegan. What happens if a vegan says that they can't eat all the other stuff? So why can't you do the same? What's the difference? Why is there any difference?
Yeah.
Why is there any?
Well, I was in the religious,
That's right. But it's all how you say it. And then if you say it, why not? It's not. There's no real barrier besides myself. There's no real barrier to acceptance besides myself accepting myself. And I accept myself. That is accepting yourself. And accept yourself and you become it. Then you accept, you allow. The barrier that makes in my mind, and she's not called in Hebrew, it's called jukim. They say in Hebrew, like jukim. Like in Yiddish, it means to say, in English, it's illusions, or it's like the guy holding the eggs. It's like different things I put in my mind that are like bugs. I have a bug in my head. Take it out. Let go. Child, it's not easy. No. No, the key that the Rebbe always writes in all the Chazon. The key in all the Chazon and all the letters of the Rebbe. The key is when it comes to Torah mitzvahs. When it comes to Torah mitzvahs, always remember anything that we feel is a real barrier to Torah. It's not shy. I'm going to lose a friend if I'm going to do this mitzvah. I'm going to lose a business deal if I'm going to be mahaber in this. It's not true. It's really not true. Logically, it's not true. It's your decision you made that you're going to. It's not true. I can find you people that were successful and people that. It's a decision you made. So the person's going to say, I can't do this mitzvah because it's going to lose happiness. I can't do this mitzvah because the Bachar wrote to the Rebbe, he wants to take off his beard for shidduchim. Rebbe comes fakert. It's usually more it's going to help you with shidduchim. Now go understand, what does that mean? Yeah, because there's no such thing as a mitzvah being a block for happiness or success in life. It's not true.
It's simply logically not true. Every area that you give, I can show you counter how people were successful. The attitude of the people, the yarmulke, the painter, the happiness of the bachar. I can even give you a business model. D&H is closed in Shabbos, and they're a conglomerate in retail that eats up everyone else, and it doesn't make sense. To be closed on Shabbos doesn't make sense. If you would have said that before they opened up, I would have said it's not shy. And top of people still say that it's not. The question, how does that shy? It's against the rules of retail. They close Cholamoyed, they close everything. They close Erev Shabbos. Black Friday, they're closed. Black Friday, they're closed. Go understand, retail closed on Black Friday, and they're making the most money. Close Friday afternoon, whatever. Yeah, whatever. Before it's not, whatever it is. Whatever to get the people to get home. But Black Friday is actually everybody's coming to shop. It's like the biggest shopping day in the whole year. They even close their internet site. They close their site. That's what they don't have to. It's not so simple. I hate them, but they close. It's the time zone. There's a lot. Right. It's information. This is shopping. This is shopping too. Right. I remember hearing once a class about internet sites and Sabbath. There are people who allow it, but D&H, the conglomerate, doesn't. I'm not at all. I don't know. I really don't know. I'm not at all. I don't know. I just remember hearing that they are closed on Shabbos and how there are those who said it's not necessarily dry halach. The point is their attitude. They came along with and that's how it came along. No, the attitude of allowing the right thing. Their attitude, that's what I'm saying, allowing themselves to do the right thing didn't stop them from any success. It doesn't make sense to me. It works out in the end. The Torah and mitzvahs is the seed that we have that keeps us on eventually the answer. Because really nature, so this is really where this whole discussion comes from. Really nature is like a muscle. Really, it's another bit. Really, nature is like a teacher teaching a student, right? So the teacher can give a parable to the student, so the students understand. Our whole life is a muscle. Different things, it's another. Different things that happen are part. It's all part of the teaching process. Nature is not a contradiction. Nature is part of the purpose. I'll give you an example for this. A teacher gives a student a math lesson. 1 + 1 is 2. The child doesn't understand. The child says 1 + 1 is 2. I understand things that are. I feel a cup, a chip. I can taste. I can sense. Logic. What are you talking about? Sugar nuts. I don't know what you're talking about. So the teacher gives an example. You have toys you play with, the puzzle. So you have 72-piece puzzle. Didn't you say there were 72 pieces? So you see, logic is in your world of touch. You're playing with the puzzle. You have 2 apples. 1 apple and 1 apple. How many apples do you have? I have 2 apples. That's actually 1 + 1 is 2. It's just 2 apples. 1 + 1 is 2. The student now got it. I got 1 + 1 is 2. The next day, the teacher has a principal coming into the classroom. And the principal asks the children, I heard you know 1 + 1 is 2. Tell me, I have 1 banana and another banana. How many bananas do I have? Child raises his hand. We only learned about apples. We never learned about bananas. Life is a muscle. Some people get stuck with the muscle, and some people see the purpose behind it. We all do. Some points we all do. Or at all points we all do. But the point is, there's a teacher here. It's not possible for the purpose not to be relevant. The purpose is all there. Torah and mitzvahs is like the logical thing within the apple. It's there. It has to be there. It's all about it. It's not above nature. It is nature. Nature is close to that. It's a lavush to the purpose. Sometimes we can see it. Sometimes we can't, which is another, right? But the point is how we relate to it. If we start looking that world has to be expressing a certain purpose, the teacher here is teaching what is the purpose, then number one, you don't let go of Torah mitzvahs. Anything of Torah mitzvahs is the key to that. That always says Torah mitzvahs is right. Anything you want here in the Shia, it's not shayach to be against. Right?
Not to be a what?
An impediment to success. Nature, natural success and happiness, it's not possible for Torah mitzvahs to be an impediment for that. It's not possible. Is it possible that the apples is just a storyteller time? It's not storyteller time. It's purpose time. So it has to come through. Anyway, give me a good pleasure. Okay.
Didn't happen randomly, it didn't happen by mistake. I was challenged in trial, I was there because Hashem put us there to teach us a lesson, to teach another person, or to help us realize certain things.
And when we allow ourselves to look at it that way,
Other people will see the problem in our life, or make it, or give it to us. We don't know exactly why.
We don't know why, but when we look at things that way, sometimes we can start seeing things that way. Sometimes.
That's the idea also of being grateful, like when you're grateful for the things that you not necessarily were grateful for, you took for granted, but because of circumstances that allowed you not to have. So now you're grateful for the most simple things that you do have.
Gratefulness comes after it. Gratefulness is part of an attitude, not the word attitude is negative, and part of acceptance. Acceptance leads to grateful. When I can bring something else in my life, then I'm grateful for it. Otherwise, I'm not grateful. I'm just myself. What do I have to be grateful for? I have everything. I'm done. I'm grateful is after you allow some, and you're grateful.
The acceptance to allow that moment of difficulty.
Yeah. Saying the word thank you is hard. That means I have to appreciate someone else. Hard. Not hard isn't hard. Hard isn't it? Accept it. There's another role. There's another something else. Right?